Okay, so you all know that at about 3:30 yesterday morning, Calgary Police were called out to a scene on the 500 block of 16th Avenue Northeast where there was a deceased female on the road. We since learned that the female in question was a 16-year-old girl who had been struck by a motor vehicle. And at this point, I'm here to tell you that we have brought this case up to the point where we have arrested and charged an individual with this offense. Through a combination of CCTV footage along with evidence from the scene that we were able to glean yesterday, it led our investigators to determine that a 2014 Toyota Prius was the vehicle that struck this girl and fled the scene, and that vehicle was in fact a taxi cab. The accused that we arrested late last night and have since charged with hit and run causing death is Stanislaw Maguder, Maguder, 70 years old, of Calgary.
Are you able to tell us which taxi company?
You know, Jen, I'm not going to specifically mention the taxi company, and I'll tell you why. The taxi company itself has been extremely cooperative with us, and this collision is solely the responsibility of the driver that was driving this cab. Now, the taxi company knew nothing about this, and for that reason, I don't see really the relevance in me at this point naming which particular cab company it was.
When we spoke to you yesterday, you said you were going through footage from a taxi cab initially
right.
early in the morning. Was that
right.
the same taxi cab that was involved?
No, it wasn't. The taxi cab that was involved in this, the vehicle that was involved in this, fled the scene, did not come back, and there was no efforts made by the cab driver to check and make sure that this girl was okay or anything else. We didn't get our hands on this cab until much later yesterday. So no, that wasn't the same cab.
Can you speak at all about what led you to this fellow?
Sure. At the scene, you know, I characterized it a little bit yesterday, but at the scene, I mentioned to one of the reporters that it was like we were chasing a ghost, because quite frankly, there wasn't a lot of evidence at the scene, much less than we normally find in a case like this. And we had no eyewitnesses whatsoever. So when the businesses started opening up, we did what we do, and we started checking some CCTV footage in the area, and that led us, one thing led to another, and ultimately it was the CCTV footage that we initially got that led us down the road to be able to hold somebody accountable for this. And I just want to point out too that while I'm here, I just want to give a special mention to Staff Sergeant Colin Foster and his collision investigators. That team worked on this case tirelessly from the moment they were called out at 3:30 in the morning until about 1:30 this morning when they finally wrapped it up. So it was an entire team effort, and in my view, they did an amazing job of following all these leads because they really had nothing to begin with.
Was this cab on duty at the time of the collision?
Well, you know what, I couldn't say whether it was actually on duty or not. I suppose, was it still capable of picking up fares? Yes. But what the intent of the driver was at that point, whether he felt he was on duty or not, I don't know.
So there was nobody in the cab?
No, there were no fares in the cab.
Did the cab have a dash camera or a recording device in it?
The cab did, yes.
And has it recorded the collision?
It did. It did. So, and we've seized all that, and you know, that's one of the pieces that the cab company has been so helpful with us for. In that they helped us with GPS data as well as the dash cam video that we have.
When you review that video,
we have.
What do you see? I know the collision reconstruction
yeah.
unit was out there looking for brakes, looking
sure.
for serves.
Sure.
What do you see in that video? Could this have been a situation where he didn't know that happened?
Well, okay, two things. Number one, I'll tell you how the collision actually occurred. The young girl was lying on the roadway when the cab was going westbound on the road, ran her right over and didn't stop. Now, why she was lying down on the roadway, I couldn't say. But she was, and she was alive just prior to that. So the cab running her over has caused the injuries to her, which ultimately caused her death. Now, what happened after is something that the evidence that we were able to obtain after that point, that convinced us that the cab driver absolutely knew that he had hit somebody, and that led us to the charge of the hit and run causing death. Now, the exact details of that, I'm not going to disclose right now because we owe a duty of responsibility to the poor victim, and I don't want to jeopardize anything in court because that'll be evidence that'll come forward during, if there is a trial, but it'll certainly come forward in the courts.
Yesterday, Colin Foster out there told me just how frustrating this is for police. When
Yeah.
you have a situation like this, what could have been different had he stayed at the scene?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, generally speaking, I mean, we never advocate leaving the scene. I mean, it is a driver's responsibility to always render assistance when they feel that they've hit something, even hit an object, because maybe you don't know what you hit. Maybe you do. I don't know. But it is the driver's responsibility to always stop and render assistance when that's required.
So did this guy stop, check it out, and then leave? Or
No.
did he just keep going?
No, he didn't stop.
Do you have any idea how long this girl was lying in the roadway before she was hit?
It wasn't very long, and I can say that after she was hit, another passerby came upon her and immediately called for EMS. EMS attended the scene, and she was declared deceased right there on the roadway. And then it was EMS that called us in to investigate this.
So now that you have the CCTV footage
Yeah.
and the info from the cab, what time did the actual collision occur?
About 3:25 in the morning.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when you say she was lying on the road,
Yeah.
was she like literally run over?
She was.
Like run right over?
Right. Right.
Was
Yeah.
she alone at the time? Do you know what she might have been doing beforehand?
Well, I mean, she was alone on the road, certainly. There were reports earlier yesterday of another male that was just a little bit north of the scene. We have tracked down that person and have determined that that is a relative of this girl. That person doesn't have any recollection of what happened or why she would have been on the road, so there's no assistance available to us from that piece, but we did connect the two together.
So you're trying to track down her previous movements to find out why she was lying in the middle of the road?
Well,
relevant?
you know, there are some questions that we don't have answers to right now, certainly, Kevin, and that is one of them, without a doubt.
Was she injured? You know
Was she injured
alive?
prior to? There's
Yeah.
no evidence that she was injured prior to her being run over, no.
Did alcohol play a part in this on behalf of the driver or the victim in this?
No evidence of alcohol that we have available to us on the part of the driver. As far as the part of the victim, there's nothing to suggest that at this point. However, the medical examiner's office will do a standard toxicology screen, and we don't have that available to us right now.
Are you able to tell us where kind of she was? Was she close to the sidewalk? Was she in the middle of the road?
In the middle of the road. There's 3 lanes there. She was in the middle. Yeah.
So, I know you said she was only lying in the road for a brief time, but
Yeah.
is it fair to say that there's no chance that the girl was hit by another car
No.
before the cab?
No, we have the full CCTV footage showing her movements, and we know that the only vehicle that hit her was the vehicle in question, the one that we're talking about
So you
now.
said you have the full CCTV footage,
Yeah.
so did you see her walk out into the middle
Yes.
of the road and fall, or did she lie down?
Well,
or-
and you know what? That's open to debate. She did walk out to the road, and why she was lying in the middle of the road, that's something I don't have an answer to.
The CCTV footage you've got, is it from a local business or is it from one of the ones that's above, like a city?
No,
camera?
it's not a City of Calgary camera. It's one of the ones from the local businesses.
Did the cab driver offer any explanation why he ran her over and kept going?
You know, again, that's going to form part of the evidence that'll go before the court. So that's a piece that I'm not really privy to discuss today.
It might be difficult for you to answer, and it is hypothetical, but had the driver stayed and speeding alcohol had not been a factor, is it conceivable that he may not be facing charges today?
It's quite possible that we could be dealing with a whole different set of circumstances right now. What that would be, you know, it is hard to speculate on that because I don't know what the condition of the driver was at the time. But that's why I'm advocating that in any situation, just globally, any situation, as a driver, it's your responsibility. You hit something, you stop. Simple as that.
Can you say what potential penalty he faces here now?
Well, it's the charge that we've laid on him is an indictable offense and potentially life in prison. However, I mean, that'll be entirely up to the courts.
So you said that alcohol didn't appear to be a factor. What about speed?
That is something that we haven't been able to determine either yet at this point. And I'm not saying that alcohol wasn't a factor. I'm saying that we have no evidence of that right now.
You've talked to this relative. Has this person been able to shed any light on their conversations or what they might have been talking about or doing prior to this?
Yeah, they did, and that's another piece that is it's largely, to be honest with you, is largely irrelevant to the situation at hand. So what they were doing prior, is good background information for us, but I don't see any real purpose in putting that out right now. I mean, especially given the fact that she's a young 16-year-old girl. She wasn't doing anything wrong. I mean, she got run over and she was left there to die. It's quite simply that.
And if I'm not mistaken, Priuses are one of those cars that have essentially a black box in them that you can
Sure.
go back and tell how fast it was going at a point of collision. So is the car being checked out for that?
We have the car in our possession, and we haven't done the exam on it yet. But that's something that we still have to do. There are a lot of loose ends left for us to tie up. The initial investigation that the collision investigators did brought us up to this point, but there is still some things to do.
What could change?
What could change as far as the charges go?
Yeah.
Nothing at this point.